Conduct in the City Council chambers. Rules of decorum for the public. Members of the audience shall not engage in disorderly or boisterous conduct, including the utterance of loud, threatening, or abusive language, clapping, whistling, stamping of feet, or other acts which disturb, disrupt, impede, or otherwise render the orderly conduct of the city meeting infeasible. A member of the audience engaging in any such conduct shall, at the discretion of the presiding officer or a majority of the city council, be subject to ejection from the meeting per Government Code Section 54954.3C. Removal from the council chambers. Any person who commits the following acts in respect to a meeting of the city shall be removed from the council chambers per Government Code Section 54954.3C. A, disorderly, contemptuous, or insolent behavior towards the city council or any member thereof, tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. A breach of peace, boisterous conduct, or violent disturbance tending to interrupt the due and orderly course of said meeting. Disobedience of any lawful order from the mayor, which shall include an order to be seated or to refrain from addressing the city council, and any other unlawful interference with the due and orderly course of said meeting. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Taft City Council's Successor Agency Joint Regularly Scheduled Meeting for Tuesday, November the 5th, 2024. City of Taft Council meetings are being held in person with full capacity seating and are live streamed at www.youtube.com/user/City of Taft. Public comment can be made in person and also can be received per the following methods. Written comments may be dropped off in the drop box in front of City Hall. Comments may be emailed to the city clerk at cityclerk@cityoftaft.org. They may also be made by phone to the city clerk's office at 661-763-1222. Public comments will be accepted up until 5 p.m. the day of the meeting. All comments received shall be read into the record. We'll begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by myself, followed by an invocation by John Getty. If you would join us, please. And over your heart, salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for Mayor Knorr and the council members for their leadership and for their commitment to this great city. We pray, God, that you would guide them, direct them in the decisions that they make. We take time today to thank you for our nation, especially on this election day. We thank you for the freedoms and for the sovereignty you have given us. Lord, tonight we take time to acknowledge the Bryant family, the loss that they have endured in the passing of Carson. We pray that you would draw especially close to Mike and Danielle and their family. We pray that they would find some sense of peace. We pray the same for Carson's friends and the family of the Taft High School community. We acknowledge tonight, God, that we just don't always understand the plans that you have for us. My prayer for us tonight is that in the days and weeks ahead, that you might reveal yourself as we seek you with all that we have and with all that we are. Bless us tonight, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It is never easy to say goodbye to anybody, let alone a 17-year-old young man or woman in the prime of their life, just getting started, as a matter of fact. Young Carson Bryant is no longer with us. I did not know this young man personally, but Councilman Josh Bryant was one of his coaches. So I have asked that he address the family.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the city of Taft, I know everyone that's sitting here in front of me and with me today, and personally on behalf of anybody that I may be connected to or represent, I want to extend the most sincere condolences to the family. They've got connections to not only the city of Taft, but to the area in general, and we want to acknowledge their loss and let you all know how sorry we are that Carson's no longer here with us. I got to know Carson fairly well over the last couple of years. I mean, he was a senior in high school this year. As a varsity football coach, I spent the last 2 years with him every fall. And I wouldn't say we were particularly close, but we weren't unfamiliar with each other. The Tuesday before he passed, we were at practice together, having a very typical day with a 17-year-old kid and a 41-plus-year-old man on the football field. It was very jovial. And to wake up the next day and find out that he's no longer with us, it hits hard. And I'm sure that's just a fraction of what it's hitting his family and his close friends. Had some very wise advice shared with us by our head football coach. He said, go home and hug your loved ones tight. And it's just important that we recognize that. Tomorrow's not promised to anyone for any reason. We could drop dead tomorrow, so make sure those around you know how much you love them, how much you've had an impact on them. And I just hope that they can find comfort in the love of those that are still here with them and in your faith. I had some friends not long ago go through a very rough loss, and fortunately for me, I'd had some wisdom to share from them that I gleaned from a book called The Prisoner in the Third Cell by Gene Edwards. And long story short, it's about John the Baptist and kind of his, it's a fictionalized tale of a very real story about his struggles near the end of his life when he was in Jordan waiting to be beheaded. And if you're a Christian, I hope that you can find solace in not finding fault in the plans that we are not privy to, but must be accepting of. So on behalf of the city of Taft, our condolences to the Bryant family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Nor,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Here.
and Councilmember Chavera.
Here.
All right, first item on this evening's agenda, Civica Law Group presentation. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce Valerie with Civica, here to give a presentation tonight, address the council.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. My name is Valerie Escalante Troche. We've had the pleasure of knowing each other now for maybe a year, 2 years. We are outside counsel working with the city, particularly on code enforcement matters. You may recall we were here not too long ago working on some code amendments to make sure the code was up to snuff and current with existing and current laws. I'm here today to go over some enforcement tools and options that are available with respect to helping provide services and connecting resources with those that are unhoused. We've had some recent law changes in the past about 6 or so months stemming from the United States Supreme Court, and so there's some new options available to cities, and so you are making an investment currently in finding resources and ways to help and work through this unhoused epidemic. Just some context for the community as well as yourselves. I'm sure you do know this since you're very in touch with the information here today, but to make sure we're all on the same page, there are some statistics here from 2023 about the unhoused and kind of homeless crisis that the state of California is having. So just for simple background, 28% of the nation's homeless population is here, in the state. And so we have, as of last year, 181,399 homeless individuals in the state of California. And if we move on to the next slide, we talk specifically more about Kern County statistics. In 2024, this year, the collective here through Bakersfield, the Kern Regional Homeless Collaborative, does a point-in-count time study with the number of homeless in Kern County. And so they published their report not too long ago. So what these are quotes from the study that was published this year. And so some key quotes that I pulled out for yourselves in the community. This first one I'll read to the group. During the 2024 point-in-time count, a total of 2,669 individuals were counted. Okay, about 1,006 comprised sheltered individuals and 1,663 comprised unsheltered individuals. This was a 37% increase in the total number of individuals when compared to that prior year. So the unhoused situation is changing, and changing as it is in a lot of different places in the state. Some of the perceived cause for the unhoused epidemic that we're seeing is, I bolded some of the major ones, issues with respect to health, mental health, substance use disorders, and related kind of reasons along those same lines. Other things have to do with, lack of job and a choice to be unhoused as well. But the major ones are really stemming from health, mental health, substance-related disorders. They also broke it down by city as well, the point-in-time count. I understand these might be a little skewed as well because they're not necessarily here working the day-to-day knowing the community like you do. So in conversations with staff, I understand that these numbers may not be completely accurate, but they are some representation of a quantification of what people are trying to kind of publish out there. You can see Taft here, the count as of at least 2024 was 39 individuals. 39, and those may be people that are coming and going as well, but those are some of the statistics we're seeing. You can see compared to Bakersfield, that's in the thousands, 1,202. I would point out, because I am fortunate to be in a position of having worked with a number of jurisdictions, these numbers are actually really great compared to other counties, so we're pretty fortunate that we don't have as big of an issue compared to other places. Not to minimize the issues here, because we live in this community, we feel it, we know it, they're people that we've had in the community for a long time. But I do like to make that note that we are pretty fortunate to have such a tight-knit community where there is family, there are resources that are being provided for those that are in the unhoused situation. So what I want to talk about a little bit now is some updated approaches that the government and our courts are making available to help with the unhoused situation, specifically here also in Kern. So the first one I want to point out to you is the Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment Act. It's a law that was passed here in California in 2023. What this law did is that it was requiring courts to create a process and a program to get those that are unhoused that also have a confirmed kind of mental health diagnosis related to schizophrenia and the like, to get them into court. And the court then would order services with respect to, mental health treatments, housing programs, and the like. And so this is a new program that's being implemented this year. It began here in Kern County this October 1st. It went live. So we are in a new era with this program coming out. Brand new, we're going to see how it plays out, but this is a new resource that is now available that previously wasn't. So what does this mean? Who qualifies, right? On this slide, we talk about individuals diagnosed with schizophrenia and other limited psychotic disorders who have these severe persistent symptoms and are not stabilized. And so this type of program also goes hand in hand with medical professionals because they have the ability to diagnose those treatments. So when looking at this type of program and how Taft can utilize them, it's mostly twofold, right? We have a great police team and police department and officers who are able to respond to calls for services that may be dealing with these type of issues. And so police can help streamline the process and get those individuals recommended to medical professionals who then can make the recommendation to the court system. right? And there's some other options that we'll talk about in a little bit in a few slides, so I don't get ahead of myself, where we can also, as a community, bring them as well. Not only is Taft, as a community, as a government, able to utilize this process, it's also important to note that also certain family members can also petition the court if they have the information available to share. And so I think that's a really important thing, because it's not a resource that's limited to only certain status being a government entity. Also, people in our community can realize the benefits of the program. Okay, so how? Okay, how does it work? The court will either provide a voluntary care agreement with the individuals, meaning that person will have to agree to some type of relief, right? Or the court can say, you're not able to order and can come into an agreement, you're not able to make that decision for yourself, I will step in and order that relief for you. So it's either if they're capable and competent to make an agreement, they can do it, or if not, the court's going to order the services needed to help them. And so those plans and those agreements will include things like behavioral health services and housing resources, among other things. So on the next slide, this is a screenshot from the court's website, Kern County Superior Court website. So if you were to look it up on the website, look for Care Court, you'll come up to the Care Court page. And there's a lot of information on there that's more even detailed than what I'm providing today on what the court processes will look like, the days the court hears these matters, the forms that you might need to fill out to file it. So I share that so that not only council, you hear this, but also so the community knows this is a resource that's new and available to not just government, but also individuals and family members who are looking for some help. We'll move on to the next slide. In addition to the court and the court processes, there are resources that, of course, the city has as well. And so we're going to touch a little bit on that as well. The first resource that your city has really done a great job in trying to utilize is the services and resources you're making available through the police department, through more routine patrols and contact with individuals that are unhoused. I've had the fortunate ability to connect with the chief and those in the police department, and they are making sure to reach out and do what they can. There's a significant portion actually of their workload, and so they're doing their best and making those contacts. Now, there's also other ways that we can help connect the unhoused with resources through both administrative, civil, and criminal enforcement. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit next. To get there, I'm going to get into some law, but I'm going to make it real simple and quick and give you the Cliff Notes version, okay? Prior to this summer, for the past approximate, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 6 years, okay? For the past about 6 years, we had court decisions from the Ninth Circuit that basically prevented cities from conducting enforcement, okay? There are two cases, the Martin v. Boise case and then the City of Grants Pass. The Ninth Circuit basically said, cities, you cannot criminally prosecute anyone for the act of being homeless or for shelter space or for making a shelter, because that can impinge on their Eighth Amendment right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. Okay? That was very difficult for a lot of jurisdictions because oftentimes a criminal or a civil process can ensure connecting people with resources. So what that then meant is that a lot of jurisdictions then said, I can't do anything because my hands by law are tied. And I think that's a big issue. And so what happened is that got appealed to the Supreme Court, to the United States Supreme Court. And this summer, the Supreme Court threw out the past law. So for the next slide, what happened is that the Supreme Court reversed these two prior court decisions. And what that means is that now cities are no longer in fear, I'll be honest, right? Because you have liabilities from lawsuits and those type of issues. Cities can now feel safe and secure when they criminally, administratively, when they conduct code enforcement efforts to help connect unhoused with resources. And so to the next slide, we can talk about, as a result of this decision, now other cities, including yourselves, are looking at how can we update our municipal codes to be able to effectively enforce and connect and house with resources? Because again, before, we weren't able to, but now we can. So one thing that we're looking at is looking at municipal codes, our laws. Do they give us the right authority, the proper authority to be able to take action? The law needs to say we can do it, so we want to make sure the codes are updated. We're also looking at, does the code have the right type of language for prohibitions to protect the community? And so it's a twofold analysis. So that's step one. Moving from that, once the codes are in place, the options are pretty abundant. With a court process, okay, you can then bring these cases before court through criminal enforcement. The word criminal sounds a bit scary, so what I want to make sure to make it very clear, the goal is not punishment. The goal is to get compliance, and the goal is to get people in a court process to order them to be able to have drug treatment programs, alcohol treatment programs, to have some, training programs for work-related purposes, right? To get them sheltered. And so the court has that power, and now we're able, as a municipal entity, to bring it to the court's attention to get them resources that they need. And so in a court action, what will happen if they don't have money for an attorney? They will then get a court-appointed person on their behalf, an advocate on their behalf. It's a public defender. And so now you have a public defender and an attorney for the city being able to discuss and find what's the best way to help this individual. So it can be a very win-win situation. They have an advocate also on their side. And so in that court process, they can order ways to have, like I said, care and other treatment services, as well as maybe ensuring that they're staying away from certain areas if they can't control themselves, and that there might be some danger associated with the location where they're at, right? Worst case scenario, there's also availabilities of fines and jail time if that's necessary, right? Because it is a criminal proceeding. But ultimately, if that's not necessary, we can get them into programs. That's the goal. There are also additional and outside of the criminal world process for administrative enforcement tools, which you already have built into your code, if that's an option the city would like to take, and other civil options, asking courts civilly for different types of relief. So now that the law changed with the Supreme Court decision, there are more tools available. And so that's really it on the presentation. The goal was to ensure that you all were all aware, and the community is aware that there are options, and you are taking those efforts to explore what's available so you can help best serve the needs of the community. And I'm here for any questions.
Okay, I bet you there's going to be a few questions and comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask individual council members if they want the opportunity. Councilman Waldrop, you're up.
Well, there's a lot of things we can do now that we got the help behind us, but there's a lot of good people out there that if we can lead them in the right direction, but there's some we can't. But we got to work on those that we can, help them out, get them in, and do whatever it takes. And slowly, it's not going to be a turnover job. It's going to take a while. But we ought to start working on those that can be helped first. And then the other ones, we just hope and put them in the procedure like the alcohol and drugs. You'll save a couple of them, but you won't save them all. But we got to try. I'm all for it.
Well put.
Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment. It's our goal, but our obligation as well, to be the best stewards we can of those in our care. Those who are citizens, those who are residents, whatever that might look like. And when I say those in our care, those people that call this area home, right? But we also have to make sure we temper that with what's allowable by law and what can we reasonably facilitate here locally. What will we tolerate? And I think these adjustments, as at least you presented briefly, will be a great tool to help us facilitate that. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Chavera.
Yeah, this is super encouraging, and I appreciate you for coming out and producing such a detailed document. I wish you were here a few weeks ago when there was some concerned citizens that came in, because this says it all. And this is the information that we need. This is the backing that we need from the Supreme Court. This is what communities need. They need to feel safe. So again, I'm encouraged. The people are watching, and we have, like Josh said, we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to follow through. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Crier.
Thank you, Mayor. It's interesting, this program is shared here with us because there's a lot of concern about citizens want to be protected. At the same time, we want to make sure that the homeless and the other ones that don't have a place to stay are protected and taken care of at the same time. So it kind of helps on both ends. The question I would have is on the codes for have them go to the alcohol classes, drug classes, and different other programs. Who pays for that, or who is it the city that's responsible for that, the county responsible for it, or we get subsidized from the state? How does that work?
It's through the court system, and so they already have all those programs in place for state crimes. So when regular prosecution matters happen, oftentimes those diversion programs, and Kern County, for example, has a 99-page document that we found online that has all the programs already in place. And so that's already funded through the court system. It's there. So Taft is not going to carry those burdens for getting them into programs. So that's a nice thing, is that the system's in place. Now we're just making sure that the city can lead the charge in getting them to court.
Excellent. So basically, the funding that comes out of the Kern County taxpayers pays for the funding for all these different programs
I'm
here?
sure that there's some other means that
Yeah.
funds are in there, so I don't want to say that that's the only source, but I'm sure there's that component as well, yes.
I think it's an excellent deal because it does kill two birds with one stone, what we're looking at here. And I think the citizens will be happy, and we all want to help the disadvantaged and stuff. And that's kind of hard when they don't want help, but there's diversion there that there will be some little hammer there to go the right place to get themselves taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. It was a wonderful presentation. To be clear, for a long time, like you say, the citizens heard, and we heard the complaints of citizens when we saw, especially when we saw repeat criminal behavior from certain individuals. And then the police department would do their job. They would respond to complaint or criminal behavior. They would arrest these individuals, and then they would be headed towards possible help programs, but they would end up getting kicked out and would be back in the community before law enforcement finished writing their papers.
Right.
So there was a disconnect, and the courts finally found and changed that. And so now that disconnect between stopping criminal behavior and helping those individuals break that cycle, which was, just kept going around and around and around, self-destructive cycle. So this is an important addition to that. It is going to take intervention. And if that intervention starts on the street level for some of these individuals, because we had people come here and actually give us a presentation, told us themselves that if it's just voluntary intervention, that perhaps 2 of the 39 might get into the van. That's what the professionals told us,
Right.
perhaps 2 of the 39. And yet the other 37 would continue to go on with this self-destructive circle or criminal behavior.
Right.
Well, now we can intervene. We can stop that. Law enforcement can do their jobs, and it could very well be that as a municipality that we will have additional avenues and powers to intervene and to stop this. This is all about not just saving lives, but eliminating that repetitive criminal behavior and recidivism. So,
right.
A critical tool, and it's nice that you came before us. We're on the forefront here. This was just activated October the 1st, is that correct?
For Care Court, yes,
Yeah,
that's
for
right.
Care Court. So it's brand new, and it's not something that has been there and been available to us for a very long time, and we just didn't take advantage of it.
Right,
We're on the
it's brand
forefront
new.
of this. And we're thrilled to be there, and we look forward to the benefits that the community will derive as well as the individuals. So,
Thank you, and I'll add one thing to that, just to also add, the city of Taft is at the forefront also of trying to get in the criminal process as well to prosecute your local codes. And so we're in touch with the Kern County Superior Court to make sure that those systems are in place. So we have Care Court that we can just start taking advantage of, and then we're also building, to your point, a new system as well. And that system has been tested and tried in numerous counties throughout the state, and so you're at the forefront here of making this available to your community. So I really, hats off to you for all of your efforts and your investment in that community. And so we're almost there.
Well, all right. Well, thank you very much for
Thank you.
bringing your skills and experience to the table and helping us, and we look forward to putting this in place.
Excellent. Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
beautiful evening. Take care.
Have a good evening. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda, item number 2. Excuse me. Public hearing to receive public input and consideration of adoption of ordinance authorizing an amendment to the contract between the City of Taft and the California Public Employees Retirement System. City Manager Jones?
Thank you, Mayor. On August 15, 2024, the City Council adopted a resolution of intent for the purposes of an amendment to the city's contract with the California Public Employees Retirement System. Now the amendment is being brought to the council as an ordinance authorizing said amendment. This amendment is for the sole purpose of adding and allowing section 20903, 2 years additional service credit for miscellaneous members and local safety members, which was inadvertently not included in the original contract. Anticipated costs for this addition are outlined below.
Thank you, City Manager Jones. At this time, we will conduct a public hearing regarding this issue. Anybody wishing to speak in support of or opposition to this matter, please step forward. Seeing none, I will close said public hearing. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve and amend the City of Taft Municipal Code and adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Taft, adding section 1-7-6 to chapter 7 of Title I, authorizing an amendment to the contract between the City Council of the City of Taft and the Board of Administration of the California Public Employees Retirement System for first reading by title only, and reading of such be waived.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Councilman Bryant, you made that motion. Any discussion, sir?
No additional comments, sir. Thank you.
All right.
No comment?
No comment, gentlemen? Either of you?
None here. No.
All right. Madam Clerk, I have a motion and a second. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Crier,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
Councilmember Chivera,
Yes.
and Mayor Nor.
Yes, and that passes on a 5-0 vote. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Item number 3, citizens, all right. Thank you. Citizens request public comments. Comments are to be received as stated in the above policy. This is the time and place for the general public to address the City Council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. Dr. Kathy Orrin of the Chamber is going to address the council.
Good evening. It's nice to be here. Thank you for this chance to talk to you. I want to begin by introducing the newest member of the Chamber team. This is Mallory Burrell. Mallory, would you stand up and wave to the folks, please? Mallory is a student at Taft College, and she's a brainiac with computers. And
Mallory, you have to keep standing up. I'm sorry.
The whole
No,
time
you don't. I'm kidding. Welcome, Mallory.
so mean. I'm very glad to have her. As you know, Faith is in prison. She is working in our, is it a prison or a jail? It's a prison.
Yes, ma'am.
I told her I would tell people she had gone to prison when she said she was leaving. But she loves her job, and she's having a good time. You guys have all been wonderful with her, and we appreciate that. And leave your hands off Mallory. All right. I want to start by thanking you for your support of the Chamber. I know that when we run into situations where we want to do something, but we're not quite sure how to do it and if we can do it, and you're always very helpful in making things happen, and I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the Public Works folks that work with us. They are awesome. And not every Chamber of Commerce gets to enjoy that kind of support, and I want to let you know how much we appreciate it. I'm just going to give you some updates on activities coming. Not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that, November 16th, is our Trout Derby. We're experiencing a lot of interest in that, as we do every year, because as we have done before, the fish are delivered and nobody gets to fish in the lake until we show up on Saturday. So that's a real wonderful thing, and the county cooperates with us nicely on that. That's going to be happening, as I said, on the 16th. We're entering the holiday season, as you all know. Our parade for Christmas is December 9th. That's the second Monday. We normally have it on the first Monday, but because Thanksgiving is so late, we have to give kids time to make floats. So we have chosen to wait an extra week for that stuff to happen. We will still have the activities around the tree, but as you know, that's the Recreation Department's forte, and they haven't, let's just say we haven't negotiated who's going to do what yet. But you can imagine that Fifth Street Plaza will be very active with lots of things to do, including pictures with Santa and other things. I have to tell you, I met with Everett Williams. You may recall he's our 100-year-old veteran. I always surprise the Grand Marshal for the Christmas parade with a big sign, and we go in and have pictures taken. Doug is always very nice about that. And today we decided to meet Everett at his favorite hangout, Same Place Cafe on Center Street, at 6 o'clock. So Mallory and Doug and I walked in. I had a big sign, and I said, "Is there Everett Williams in the house?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, congratulations. You're the Grand Marshal of the Christmas parade." He goes, "Oh, I already knew that." I was devastated. "What do you mean you already knew that?" And he said, "Well, my buddies told me." "What buddy? I want names. I want to know what buddy told you."
Who spilled the beans?
Loose lips,
Yeah,
sink
really.
ships.
So anyway, I calmed down. I have to say that Doug took advantage of my lack of proper decorum in that situation. But we put the sign down. Mallory and Doug left quickly. And the gentleman that they were sitting with asked me if I could sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee with them, which I'm glad I did, because I found out as I was leaving after a few minutes, I explained to Mr. Williams that we would make sure that he knew exactly where to be, that where he needed to get in his car to go down the parade route. And he goes, "Oh, you don't have to tell me. I know all about that. My son and daughter-in-law are coming from Bakersfield to get me. They'll take me over to Bakersfield. They'll take me to the right." And I said, "Take you to Bakersfield?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Why would you be in Bakersfield?" "Well, for the parade." I said, "Are you in the Veterans Day Parade in Bakersfield?" "Well, yes." So I picked up the sign and said, "This is the Christmas parade. It's in Taft." He goes, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that." So we started all over again. I was so relieved. So nobody snitched. He was genuinely impressed. So he will be our Grand Marshal in our Christmas parade. We have a lot of activities going on, and as I said, you'll hear more about that from the rec. We will be redoing the Polar Express. We tried it last year. It was a huge success, and we made people mad because we only did it, like a couple of nights. So we've expanded that, and we'll be doing that hopefully from Fifth Street Plaza. So we just wanted to make sure that you knew about what was coming up. I'm going to give these to you and the people in the audience so everybody knows about Christmas. And then Mallory is going to come up here and just give you a little update on next year's fun stuff for the chamber, and there'll be some dates on there. We want you to make sure you have your date. Oh, and before I do that, yes, thank you so much. I'm here to formally request that you folks do a proclamation to celebrate the 100th year of Kiwanis. Kiwanis will turn 100 years old on January 7th, and we would be most honored if you would provide us with a proclamation celebrating that. So I'm a proud Kiwanian, and this other proud Kiwanian reminded me I was supposed to do that, so thank you very much. Okay. Come on up, Mallory, and I'm gonna just pass these out. May I approach the bench?
Hello, Mallory.
Hi. I'm just here to talk about all the major events for next year for the chamber. So I have also a page for all of you. It's just a tentative calendar, so nothing's set in stone. But we do have a few dates that we're debating between two. So for our installation dinner, we're debating between February 13th and February 20th. And for the State of the City dinner, we don't know if we're going to do March 27th or April 10th. So those are the two dates that we're not really sure about, but this is just a tentative calendar, so nothing's set in stone, like I said. And we also have our general Oil Dorado dates on there, which, I mean, we're not in charge of that, but we do have those on there because our Oil Dorado car show is in the first weekend of Oil Dorado, so we thought that that might be nice to have on there. But that's it.
Do you anticipate being extremely busy because it's going to be an Oil Dorado year and there's going to be a great deal of communication and involvement?
Yeah, I joined at one of the busiest times, but it's okay. It'll give me advantage right away, so I'm ready.
Are you going to make the opening speech instead of Kathy? Is that you sure? Or just
Positive.
checking?
I'll let her do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. I think that's all the citizens request public statements. Is that correct? All right. Excellent. Next up, item number 4, council statements, non-action. Councilman Chavera, begin with you this evening, sir.
Awesome. So today's an important day. It's a right and a privilege to be able to vote. But sometimes I get a little concerned. I get a little concerned in that it could be super dangerous for Americans to vote and they don't know how to vote, or they're not informed to vote. And so I'm going to give you a couple questions to ponder. Maybe that'll help to see if you're prepared to vote. For instance, just super basic questions. Who are California senators? What is the meaning of federalism? How many members of Congress are there? How many seats? What district do we live in? How many districts are in Kern County? Who's our district supervisor? How many seats in the California Congress? And can you break them down? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're having trouble in answering those questions, I would encourage you to become informed, do some due diligence on basic American history about our local government, and then go and vote. Again, because there's nothing more dangerous in being an uninformed voter, because you are the ones representing our country. And I'll leave you with a couple quotes. Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves, one another, this country, and this world. Democracy in the contemporary world demands, among other things, an educated and informed people. If we don't vote, we're ignoring history and giving away the future. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman Waldrop.
Adding to that, all I can say is, that's all we got to do now is vote, because we're losing all of our rights. And we better get out there and do what's right, get our country back. That's all I got to say.
All right, thanks, sir. Councilman Bryant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was looking earlier today. I was just curious, how many people are actually eligible to vote in the United States? Right? There's some 400, like 300 million people. Maybe it's a little closer to 400 million people in the United States total. About 240 million people are eligible to vote, right? I think the last election, they said somewhere around 66% of those folks voted, which is a fantastic turnout considering we typically have somewhere in 30, 35%. I look out in the crowd and I know on the way in, I saw a young man here had his I voted sticker. I don't care how you voted. I mean, I do, but as far as the Constitution is concerned, I'm glad you did it. I hope you take Councilman Chavera's advice and are an informed voter. Vote your heart, vote your conscience. But I would just encourage folks, don't take that for granted. A lot of folks say, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm in California. It matters. It matters. People fought and died for that right. For you to get up off your duff, to send the thing in the mail. I mean, you could do it by mail nowadays. You don't have to go to the polling place. I wouldn't always suggest it because it's not my preference, but at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, have your voice be heard. Right? That's a cornerstone of who we are and why we are who we are, and don't take it for granted. Even more so when you think about local initiatives. Local elections matter, and those elections happen typically on the same cycle, on the same ballot. Those votes matter. Votes on propositions matter. Just encourage everybody, please, don't take that right for granted, because one day it may not be there, right? So why not exercise your rights? And the other thing I'll mention is this coming Monday, on behalf of the city of Taft and the mayor, I would like to invite anybody and everybody that'd like to come out and celebrate Veterans Day with all of us, especially those who who've donned the colors in our service. If you know somebody that needs to come, I would love to know their name if they can't make it, so we can find a way to get them there if they're willing. Love to do it. It's a time to honor those folks who are still with us and who have served each and every one of us in some way. So I would encourage you to come out to the Veterans Day ceremony Monday, the 11th, 10 a.m., Craig? Is it 10 a.m.? Please come out and join us. We'd love to have you there to help honor or be honored.
Thank you very much, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. As we all can hear from our council, is that we value our right to vote, and we exercise our right. You have the right to complain. If you don't vote at all, you don't like what's happening, hey, what are you playing now? You should have voted and changed what you want to happen. But this is our day to do it. Time the people out in the public will hear our talks here now. We already have a poll to be already closed, and by in the morning we'll probably know pretty much who our president's going to be, our next president, our next supervisor, and our Congress and all that will be known. But the veterans that we have, the people who are in our military that are alive today, fighting for our freedom, they're the ones that keep our freedom to vote. Without them defending our country or show our strength or peace through strength, we would not have the opportunity to choose right or wrong or indifferent with how to lead our lives in our country. And a lot of people know that I've been to many, many countries. I've been behind in communism, behind the Iron Curtain. I spent a lot of time there. And over there, the people that vote, it's all mandatory. You have to vote no matter what. But the candidates they have had to be party members, and they'd be pre-approved in order for them to run. So you had no choice, and you had to vote. And here in this country here, anybody could run for president. You can probably see that on your ballot. There's 15, 20 people running for president on the ballot you had to choose from. There's a lot of different opportunities. So we have a good basic right that through our Constitution and through our government and through our military and stuff to keep our country strong, to keep persevering, to have a great country to allow us to have the rights to vote and all that. And like Ronald Reagan said, we're just one generation from losing our freedom. And so remember that in our future, that we need to be vigilant, and we need our children to get the right education in schools, to learn our history, our real history. Not that the world's come to the end, we're going to die because of global warming and all the other things. We We need to know what is happening in our past, because history repeats itself. It'll make a full circle. And I like to use Rome as an example. When Rome fell, it was the strongest country in the whole world. Big swaths of all Europe was all, and Asia was part of Roman Empire. It fell. Why? Because they started getting lax. They started having circuses to the Colosseums throughout the world, known world, and Roman citizens quit wanting to work. So they brought in other countries into their country to do the work for them. And slowly, they got taken over. The Vandals, all the Germanic tribes, they all came in here and took the country over. And it can happen so easily. We could think we're high and mighty in this country here, but we're just one generation from losing all that and going to turmoil and go through, like in Europe, have the Black Ages, the Renaissance, and back around again, a full circle. So it's important to keep our rights to vote and keep our country strong. And I firmly believe peace through strength, and thanks to our military. As Kathy Orrin was saying earlier, that we're coming into the holiday season, and we've got to be vigilant, because right now there's people out there shopping, buying things for their loved ones, and there's a lot of thieving going to be going on now. Got to watch out for your houses, make sure they're locked up, and your gifts are hidden and stuff, because or your cars, you're out shopping, make sure you put it in the trunk, and make sure they don't see what you have in your car, because it's an opportunity for them to take things. And remember that also, that is a season to think where we came from. We came from, we're children of God. We came from here to serve a purpose, to serve Him, and to remember the season of giving and loving and charity and spirituality, and to reflect on all that stuff, because it's a reason why we stay strong in our country we have here. We're not an atheist country. We're not we're America. We're all here to be as a melting pot of the world right here, to be American, to have our freedoms. And that's all I have to say, Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I have a question for the two youngest people in the audience. I'm looking at both of you. My question is, go ahead, stand up. Stand up. I'm going to put you on the spot. Stand up. We are thrilled that you people are here, both of you. My question is, why are you here? Go ahead, you can answer.
I'm here because I got to do a municipal report for my government class, and it's a good opportunity to learn a little bit.
Okay. Are you both here for the same reason? No?
Just my title on my road trip.
Okay. Well, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome. We're glad you're here. And your lesson, this is your government. This is your government. This is your future. Policymakers are dictating your future. All of us, we're old guys. Well, he's not so old, but most of us are old guys. It is your future. Make sure you're a part of your government your entire life. Thanks for being here. Okay, you can sit down now. Sorry to put you on the spot. As the rest of the council said, guess what? We're voting. America is voting. We are voting for our representatives. We're a melting pot. No matter who wins this thing, we're still America. All right? And we have been in difficult places before, and we have persevered. That is the nature of this country. And whether or not your person wins, I would expect not to find you playing with Play-Doh, eating pizza, sitting in front of a freeway off-ramp somewhere. Right? We can still get up in the morning, put our pants on, go to work, and discuss the results of the election. We're supposed to be grown-ups. If you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to be a grown-up. Act like grown-ups. All right, thank you all. That's all I have to say. Item number 5, department reports. Do we have any department reports?
We do, Mayor.
Thank you very much, sir. Chief McMinn.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city attorney, city manager, Yvette. I love her to death. I'm a big proponent of what Valerie spoke on. I'm working hand in hand with her along with our city staff and city manager. So happy for that. I hope that, and I see great things happening with that. So I just want to put that out there. Also, touch on the newest member of our little Taft PD. We had a Holly Dewar, had a child Friday at about 8 o'clock, 7 pound, 13 ounces, female, beautiful little baby. 2 days of labor, can't even imagine that. Of course.
That's overtime, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh. And Kennedy Cameron is her name. They're going to call her Casey. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. That's the second child we've had in less than 6 months at our department, so happy. With that said, I'm going to read the statistics for the month of October, but with that acknowledgement, we are down with officers. We've had one injured. Holly is off. She's an officer. One of our staff, our dispatchers, Armstrong Daryl is off with, she was one, also had a child. So we're down quite a bit in the staffing, but that doesn't reflect on this for some reason, which makes me proud. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the statistics for October. We had total incidences 1,032. Calls for service were 452. Officer-initiated incidents were 580. Total cases written were 136. Felony cases were 22. Misdemeanors were 60, and then, of course, the general infractions and others. We had total misdemeanor and felony arrests of 56. Misdemeanor arrests of 46, and obviously adult felony arrests of 10. So just with those numbers alone, with the statistics we have, I've got to praise the troops and individuals at our department, along with the dispatchers and our animal control and the clerks and everybody that does everything and makes us operate. I'm amazed that we're still pulling these numbers with the amount of overtime and workers, since we have one that's in training. So you got to understand he's actually, we call him a quarter officer right now because he's not really ready to go on the streets. But and he will be shortly. But we're doing this. These individuals are working diligently in overtime to cover our streets 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I'm amazed. And then I'm amazed when I read these numbers. So just wanted to pass that along.
All right. Well, congratulations to the newest little bitty officer, member of Taft PD.
She's going to be a two-man unit when she comes back. Or two-person unit, I apologize.
And everybody's doing well. Everybody's healthy.
Everybody's healthy.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you to your troops.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Next up, item number 6, city manager statements. City manager Jones.
No statements, no. Thank you.
Next up, item number 7, city attorney statements. Jason. No statements. No statement. Item number 8, future agenda requests this evening. Gentlemen?
Mr. Mayor, I do have the one that Kathy mentioned. I want to propose that we do a proclamation sometime probably early January for the Kiwanis 100th year anniversary.
Perfect. Excellent. We need concurrence. Who wants to jump in there?
I concur.
Definitely.
That wasn't hard to find, was it? Okay. All right, there we go. Hint well taken. All right. Next up, consent calendar items 9 through 13. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on, especially if you're here for a government class? No. Okay. Those items are item number 9, the minutes for the October 15, 2024 regularly scheduled meeting. Item number 10, payment of bills, slightly over $1 million worth. Item number 11, County of Kern Transportation Services Agreement Amendment number 2. Recommendation is a motion to authorize the mayor to execute Amendment number 2 of the Kern County Transportation Services Agreement and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item number 12, award of consultant contract agreement to BHT Engineering Incorporated for on-call engineering services for federal and state-funded projects. Recommendation is a motion to approve an award of consultant contract to BHT Engineering Incorporated for on-call engineering services for federal and state-funded projects, voiding of the previous contract and authorizing the mayor to sign and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Item 13, professional services agreement with GB Translations for on-call interpreter and translation services. Recommendation is a motion to approve the professional services agreement between the City of Taft and GB Translations. Authorize the mayor to execute said agreement and find that the activity is not a project per the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, as set forth in Section 15060C3 and Section 15378 of the CEQA guidelines. Does any member of the council wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar?
None here.
Hearing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 9 through 13.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Cryer,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Councilmember Waldrop,
Yes.
Councilmember Chivera,
Yes.
and Mayor Nor.
Yes, and that passed on a 5-0 vote. Thank you all very much. This is the time to adjourn this meeting into closed session. We're going to adjourn this evening's meeting in honor of memory of Mike LaHargue. Mike LaHargue was the youngest Taft PD member at 23 years old, and followed by his service in the city of Taft. Mike LaHargue was also a CHP officer here locally. Now, I knew Mike LaHargue, not in that capacity, that was a little before my time. But as a CHP officer in that capacity, and he looked just like that, and that was Mike LaHargue. I was the owner, CEO of Huddleston Crane Service Incorporated, and part of what we do is we moved everything related to oil field maintenance, anything and everything, including very large items. The right-of-way of a county road is 24 feet wide. That includes the fog line and the center line, both lanes, 24 feet wide. We have moved tanks down those 24-foot wide roads that were 31 feet in diameter. That does not leave a lot of room for oncoming traffic. So when we would get the permits, we would have to have CHP escort. Mike LaHargue, at the time, was our local CHP escort. And Mike was wonderful for us guys that are trying to drive a 31-foot wide truck down a 24-foot wide road. Mike would get in front of us, and using his lights and his siren and his uncanny driving ability, push anybody who didn't get the message that they needed to be off the roadway straight into the weeds. And I mean all the way into the weeds. Mike was always a kick, and you know what? We moved a lot of loads, hundreds of oversized loads all over the west side with Mike's help, with no problems. Nobody ever got hurt. Nobody ever got dented. No wrecks. So Mike was a critical component of safe moving, of keeping things going, and he was a joy to work with. So not having Mike around anymore, the world's not quite as good a place as it was the day that Mike was here. So our thoughts and prayers are to the LaHargue family. And Mike, thank you for all the safe work, and we enjoyed working with you. So we will adjourn this meeting in honor of Mike LaHargue. We will be going into closed session for one item, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one disclosed case, Government Code Section 54956.9B. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being a part of our meeting.